Kevin. Thank you, Sarah.
You're welcome.
So nice to have you back.
What's the biggie?
Oh, it's recording. Okay. Hi, my name is Julie Reyes, Chairperson for Community Board 8. For those of you who will be viewing this in the future, welcome all. And I'll go right to the roll call.
Can I have that sheet? Oscar, the attendance?
Thank you.
We'll proceed with the roll call. Julie Reyes,
Present.
Sergio Villaverde, Margaret Della, present. Joy Campbell, Privateer, Laura Spalter,
Present.
Sylvia Alexander.
She's on the, Zoom. Sylvia?
Yes,
Somewhat present.
Are you present?
yes, present.
Bob Bender,
Here.
David Gelman, Mary Ellen Gibbs,
Present.
Edward Green,
Present.
Rashida Hilliard, Rabbi Kaplan, Josh Land,
Here.
Oscar Martinez,
Here.
Charles Merdler, Daniel Rowan,
Here.
Ramdas Singh, Deborah Travis, Martin Walpole.
Those who will be viewing this in the past. Here.
I know. Okay.
We have, 11 with Sylvia.
Mhm. Yeah.
So we need 10 for a quorum, so we have a quorum.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so we'll go on to item number 3, approval of the executive committee meeting minutes for September 4th, 2024. In the chairperson's report, I'm just going to add in the second point, reminders, executive members may join via Zoom. They may participate but may not vote. I would just add unless you have an AZA excusal.
Julie, is this something you're saying about item number 2 on tonight's agenda?
No, on the minutes.
Okay, so it's a change to, okay,
Right,
all right.
this is just for the minutes.
Right.
Hello, under the chairperson's report, the second item.
Okay. So that means the minutes are being amended?
Yes. On the second point, where it says reminders, executive members may join via Zoom. They may participate but may not vote, and then it should be, but may not vote unless you have the AZA excusal. Any other comments or edits? Okay, so then make a motion to accept the minutes as amended.
Mhm.
Thank you. No abstentions, thank you. Objections, so all approved. Thank you. Okay, so then we'll go on to the item number 4, chairperson's report. I really don't have much of a report. Most of you who have seen your emails know of the passing of Chris Calhoun. That's my report. Was the treasurer's report?
Joy, unfortunately, is weather, so I said I would present on her behalf. Do you want me to share it on the screen, or everyone has a copy of it? Does anyone like a copy of it? Here. Anybody need a copy? I will just share if I can, anyway. Where's my share? There we go. Okay. So, it's a pretty simple report this month, very straightforward. You could see our personnel services, PS, a total of $254,432. We now have $215,000 of our other than personnel.
Very cool, Marty.
What's that? Okay. We did proceed with putting in our approved budget mod last month for the 22,483. And we have spent a little bit against that. Spending against it was really to pay our intern, who, we paid her for the summer months. We paid a little bit in some office supplies and the Zoom meeting, and we also paid our monthly, cleaning services bill, as well as our rent. That's all we had for this month. You can see we spent, the supplies, the cleaning services. There are no budget modifications this month. So, unless there's any questions, yes, OMD always pays out directly our rent. We're paying on time. And that is it for the budget report, unless there's any questions.
Marty's got one.
Yes, Marty?
Just out of curiosity, when I ran a budget for the board, we used to, if we potentially might want something in the future, we used to put $1 into the object code to keep the line open if needed.
Okay, for which
That's no longer a
one?
requirement? Well, we got on page 6, all the object code.
The object codes, are we looking at which
100,
one?
300, 400, 600.
Oh, I see. Well, supplies, 100, we do have, if you look at the front page, we do have numbers in there for everywhere. This, I believe on the back is what is the, numbers, there's nothing there because we haven't requested for any bills or encumbered anything on the second page. So that's why there's nothing there. But on the front page, I believe under 1.1, I think we have denominations for almost everything.
Never mind.
Okay, thank you. Okay. So that's the treasurer's report.
Manager?
Okay. So, good evening, everyone. It is also with a heavy heart that I, just learned of Chris's passing. Unfortunately, while I was away, it was devastating to hear. He was always our #1 volunteer, first to volunteer, went to every single event. He really was a star attraction. He had a sense of humor, that just brought joy to everyone. It made every event fun. Even up to the very end, he volunteered at our last event just a few weeks ago.
Fort Independence.
At the Fort Independence. So we were all just shocked and devastated to hear. He obviously never complained. He just was a joy to be around. I definitely will miss him. And I know we did have an event after last week while I was away, and I want to thank Artie, Jalen, and Laura, who tabled at the Intech Academy Welcome Back to School student event. Thank you. We'll continue to try to do more events throughout the year, including Boo on Masaloo in October. I'm still waiting to get a few more details on that. And also, I am working on doing a Thanksgiving turkey giveaway. Again, I don't have it solidified yet, but working on it.
Are you going to,
I'll let you know shortly.
Doesn't have to anymore.
That's why I'm
Are
asking.
we taking, volunteers for that particular event?
Oh,
I
absolutely.
would like to have some of the kids from the football team help.
Oh, yeah, we need that.
They can pass them.
Let's silence Bob and I and Julie lifting these turkeys. That's
Be a tackling dummy.
So
Go out for the
that would be
pass.
greatly
You want a turkey, go out for the
appreciated.
pass.
Thank you. This past month, or last few months, I have a working group with our fellow Bronx district managers. We worked on asking questions to give to our city agencies regarding, the borough-wide questions on issues, on budget, on projects going forward. So we had those meetings the last few weeks. I will send the respective committee chairs the questions and answers from each agency. I also want to thank David Gelman for attending the meetings while I was away, and I attended the last one yesterday. So I'll be sending details on that as it pertains to each committee. Chairperson Reyes and I have been meeting with our elected officials, and next we are meeting with Councilmember Sanchez and continuing to do so to go over budget needs and community issues in the district. I did recently do a walkthrough to address the overgrowth at Half Moon Overlook. It's right by the Spite and Dival Metro North Station down there. I met with Parks Forestry Unit, and they said that they could do the work if they work overtime, and will give me a proposal on the cost, and asked if we could get discretionary funds from our electeds, they'll do the work. So I said will work on asking them if it's something they can possibly fund.
What kind of work? Because I live right in, next.
It's all, overgrown.
Right.
So it's really clearing, tree trimming. They will not, they're not gonna take away all of the ground.
Right. So are they gonna go down the stairs at all, or is it just up at the overlook?
It's just up at the, they're gonna give me a cost estimate and the scope of the work.
Oh, okay.
So we'll know more. I'm waiting for
That was a big
that.
issue about going down the stairs and the hazards.
Well, there's no stairs there.
Oh, there are. They're completely weeded over.
Okay, well, we'll see what they put in the scope of
Okay.
work that they can do.
Let me know that, please.
will there
be a
community meeting about? We can have one if you want.
Well, I just think there's a lot of interesting people over there.
Parks should,
This is more about, someone asked about the problem with the overgrowth, could Parks do something about it? So I met with them, they said they would.
So maybe it'll be discussed at the Parks Committee.
I already spoke to Deb, she
Yeah.
said she would write a letter if needed
Mhm.
in support, once
Right.
we get the,
Yeah.
Proposal.
Okay, just know there's a lot of activists.
Yeah, I think it does make sense to put it on a Parks Committee agenda.
Yeah,
Once,
sure.
once we have the information
Yeah,
from
I
the Parks
just
Department.
reached out to Deb and told her about it, because I went right before I went away, and she did, I think you were on that
I was,
email, she
yes.
did mention she could do a letter of support or something to that effect, so yes, we
Yeah.
can go through that whole process.
Good.
So it is Parks Department property?
mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is Parks property.
Little green sign.
Yeah. I did hold my district service cabinet meeting this morning. I'll follow up with the minutes. My next meeting will be on a Wednesday, November 6th, instead of November 5th, which is Election Day. So any concerns, questions, anything to follow up on, please, you could send it to me at any time. You don't have to send it to me November 5th. You can send it to me before, so thank you. I am working on our summer into fall newsletter. It'll be ready shortly. And, again, I just need to express to all of our chairs, agendas, minutes, and resolutions, please give that to us within 10 days before or after the meeting. It's just imperative for us to function and to, be in compliance with everyone. And then also just want to wish everyone a Happy New Year, and, I will be off on Thursday for the holidays, and that's it. Well, thank you. Any questions? Yeah.
If I may, two observations from attending the Borough Consults. Two things I learned I'd never heard before. Apparently the Department of, Sylvia, you may find this interesting, the Department of Education is now referring to the schools as NYCPS, New York City Public Schools. I had never heard that before. I'd only heard of the DOE, and before that, the Board of Ed. And the other thing that I realize is that, unlike all of the other city agencies, DEP has its own budget based on its own revenue from water and sewer taxes. So, which is very different. I mean, we've always complained that Parks doesn't get the revenue from the concessionaires and from events, et cetera. It just goes in the general fund. But DEP does, and that was a revelation, and it's something we may want to explore, you know, with our council members and whatnot, seeing if that could be spread around some other agencies so that they could do similar things. But found that very interesting to learn at the consults. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other questions? So we're going to committee reports, so aging.
Hi, everybody. I went to the 50th anniversary at Riverdale Senior Center. I made a lot of connections there. I met the new director. Excuse me? I met the new director, and made a lot of good connections with there, and we got me set up a meeting to go there too. October 10th, we are going to the Hebrew Home. David Pomerantz is gonna be our speaker, since he's the new CEO, to introduce to the Community Board Aging. And that's all I have.
Thank you. And we'll definitely send out a reminder, since I know you have a small committee, and Barbara's still ill, so hopefully we'll have board members and the community come out to give you support.
Thank you.
Budget, David?
Real quick. The 2026 fiscal year capital and expense budget priorities were posted by the office week before last to make it available for the community, who will have an opportunity to review it in advance of our public hearing a week from tonight at 6:30, preceding our October board meeting, where they have been given the opportunity to review those and also to sign up to speak in public gallery type fashion for 3 minutes to discuss only the priorities that we have submitted based on our meeting a month ago. They'll have 3 minutes each, up to 10 for that period. And so you may want to encourage others to look at it. Then during the meeting itself, we will, based on what we have, what we've heard from the the public hearing, as a board, we will vote on those priorities to submit to OMB at the end of the month. That's it.
Any questions? Thank you, David.
I do have a question. Does the public have to ask the office to speak at the gallery?
Yes. Signing up just like the gallery in advance. It has not been oversubscribed for quite a while, so it's quite possible that somebody could show up. It's usually 2 to 4 people, and theoretically we have time for 10. But the protocol is for them to contact the office.
Could we do a sign-up sheet maybe if they haven't in the beginning, so that the first
Yeah.
5 people to sign in speak, and then we can know?
Well, I would do the variation. I would put down those who have done in advance, and then 6, 7, 8 will be open and whatnot, if any. But yeah, that sounds good.
I have a question. To speak at the public hearing, can they use Zoom, or they have to show up in person at Amalgamated?
They have to show up in person.
Why, if they call the office to sign up like they do for the full board, they can.
It's the way we've always done it. It's.
I thought of the new rules with telecommunications, they can participate the same as if they showed up.
They do for the full board meeting anyway.
So they can.
We have allowed people to sign up for the gallery session.
The public can do it through Zoom, just like we have, like, the borough president's office or whoever. They can participate on Zoom. It's the board members who cannot.
Okay. I said corrected.
So that will be.
This is all new.
on the agenda. Mhm.
So, okay, any other questions? Thank you, David.
Welcome.
Economic development?
Yeah, so our next meeting is going to be at Cote, or Cote, I don't know how you pronounce it, Wine Bar. If anyone remembers, they were at Nick's last meeting prior to the summer. They spoke because they were going to open, or they had recently opened, so it gave us some time to really get down and get everything has settled out. I like wine. I just want to see what they have and kind of expose everybody to that business. And that's going to be the theme moving forward as far as where we host the meetings. Is going to be a combination of stable, established business and newer businesses, just to get them some recognition and possibly some new patrons and customers. But that is Thursday, October 10th at 7:30.
Are they on Marshalloo?
Yes.
Okay, Marshalloo Avenue. Thank you.
5639 Marshalloo Avenue.
She's right, so I don't know if you put an accent.
I thought it was Cote, and when they came to us, she told me it was Cote.
Oh, okay, nice.
Any questions? Okay, thank you, Elsa. Education and libraries, cultural affairs, Sylvia? We have to unmute Sylvia.
I got it.
I have not had a meeting yet. I plan to have my October 22nd meeting. I don't have the agenda yet, but I will send it to the office when I'm ready.
Thank you.
And also, I just want to make a comment on David's remark about the NYC public schools. We live in a time when we have charter schools, we have public schools, we have uh, parochial schools, we have all kinds of schools, and it's about time that they identify themselves as New York City public schools. So I think that that's an improvement. Thank you.
I think that's what they were thinking. That's the impression I got last week.
As you think they were thinking.
Thank you, Sylvia.
Very derivative.
Environment and sanitation, Daniel?
So I'm gonna have one resolution, urging the EPA to keep cleaning up PCBs from the Hudson River. Just as that organization, because they're about to release their quarterly report on it, and I guess the findings are that the fish are still full of PCBs. So it's not working.
That's state EPA and that's upriver, isn't it? Okay.
Yes. And we're copying like everyone in the world, but like, I asked, they said we can write a resolution to EPA too, so why not? We're here, it's the same with, it follows us all the way to, it follows, the river's right here.
Okay.
We're connected.
Actually, it's NCON.
Well.
Or EPA.
EPA's doing it, yeah. Yeah.
Federal, I'm sorry, yeah, NCON.
Excuse me, Josh has a question?
I mean, a little bit, yeah. So you should not eat the fish in the Hudson River still. They are, they have been for.
Back in the day, that goes without saying.
GE is paying for it, they're out like $18 billion so far in this cleanup, but they like kind of hoped by now it would be better than it is. But every, however, 5 years, they have to release a report and say like, it's not good enough and like keep going. So this is just urging them to make the, what's the wording? Non-protective determination. There's an extra quote here that I would take out. The Hudson River?
Yeah.
I mean, I hope not. I don't think so. There's no super fun sites in Riverdale that I know of. I don't. That's a great question. I'll ask somebody.
In the Harlem Working Group, they're always working on cleaning up the Harlem River.
Right, yeah. So we're gonna daylight that, so that's getting better. We're improving everything. It's not. It's the water comes up and by from Yonkers down through Lake Portland, and then it goes into a pipe into the sewer system now. So it's okay. The water's clean in the park. So I'm gonna bring that on the floor at the meeting. The other big thing is that next week, compost switches to your recycling day. There you go. Now you know. And after
Organics recycling, right?
What?
You mean organics recycling?
Yes, the organics compost, the brown bin goes out on your recycling day, whatever that is. I don't know, it's Wednesday for me, but.
You can get a free bin from sanitation.
Yeah, you can still get free brown bins if you need another or want one. And then starting November 12th, your normal trash must be in a can with a lid. Any can you want. You can buy New York City bins. You will not need New York City bins for another like 2 years. You can still use your bin if you have one. But you can't just throw bags on the curb anymore after November 12th.
Regular trash.
Regular trash.
Sergio?
Recycling, you can pile up.
Sergio has a question.
Sergio?
And I think we do need to get the word out, the bins need to be covered, no matter, the garbage cans need to be covered, correct?
Yes.
No matter what
Bins with a lid, yeah. And you can't have trash overflowing out the top. You need a second bin then, or wait.
And the city bins, well, FYI, I ordered a city bin 2 months ago.
Did you get it?
No, they're not Amazon. By any stretch.
I've heard that.
They are amazing.
Bins that swing up and have like the bars so that eventually.
As a resident, I ordered the city bins, so I said, okay, great, city bins, but still haven't gotten them.
But they are giving the compost ones away for free.
Yes, they still
I
are.
think in apartment size and and the building size, I think.
Right, anything, it's up to, any buildings with 9 or fewer units is the compost collection, is going universal everywhere. Organics, sorry, yes.
No composting in the neighborhoods.
Bob Benda has a question.
Yeah, Daniel, who has made the determination that, the PCB cleanup is not succeeding so far? Is this based on, the EPA's own data?
It's based on preliminary, they've released like draft things, they haven't released their like final determination, but they've released like the results of certain studies over the last 5 years that have all shown that the cleanup is not sufficient. So this is just support for them to keep cleaning up, which they're probably gonna do regardless, but it's...
But the question I'm asking is, who is, determining from the data that the cleanup is insufficient? Is EPA saying this, or is some third party saying this?
I mean, I think it's things that EPA is leaning on for their review.
What I would like to know is, you know, EPA is federal. We have our own state organization, which is DEC. Has DEC, and DEC has jurisdiction to some extent over the Hudson River. Has DEC examined the data and said they agree with the EPA? I'd be curious to know, you know, what DEC's position is on this issue. Not to mention there are independent organizations that actually were largely responsible for the cleanup happening in the first place, such as Riverkeeper, which is primarily devoted to cleaning up the Hudson River. So, you know, what I'm unclear on is how we've come to the conclusion that the cleanup is unsatisfactory. I'm not questioning whether it is, but I really would like to know how that determination has been made.
Well, my understanding is that Riverkeeper is the prime mover behind asking and advocating for these kind of resolutions. Riverkeeper is behind it.
No, they were the... Right, that's what I said. They're the reason this whole thing happened in the first place. Yeah. But I would like to know...
And GE paying for it.
Yes, GE has to pay for it. That was part of the settlement they made.
It's a navigable waterway, so EPA probably has complete control over it. But whether a third party is doing independent testing, and...
I'll look at it.
Well, I mean, we could get
more
into the...
information where I was reading other things.
Yeah, we could get into the nuances, David. The Army Corps of Engineers has jurisdiction because it's navigable, but, you know, I just want to find out who's, you know, I just want to find out what the source is on the evaluation of the data.
Fair point.
Yeah, as back to Sergio's thing, yes, maybe, or we could post something on the Facebook kind of telling people to like, I guess eventually like for November 12th, how you have to put your trash in cans for units under 9.
I think we've been posting whatever sanitation's been sending us, but
Right, I think they had one too.
We've got to do it, it's now closer to the date, so.
Right, and for organics, right, it's next week. And it just sort of switches, which will confuse some people. Maybe their bins will just sit out there for a whole day. And they'll get picked up the next day, and they're like, oh.
And then whoever has a Facebook, like it and share.
The reminder for tonight's meeting reminded me that this meeting existed at all. The email was that.
We post everything on there, all our notices, all these flyers, so I hope you'll check it out and like and share.
You did a beautiful job.
Thank you, Daniel.
I do it too.
And about Health and Hospital, are you reporting with?
Sure, I'll just mention, yesterday, unfortunately, we had to, cancel our presentation because, our presenter had a medical emergency and then the wheels just came off, so we're looking to reschedule that in November when there are dates available.
Okay, thank you. Housing? Okay. Land use?
Land use has a meeting, I see Chuck is not here. Land use has a meeting next Monday. There are 3 hot issues, I believe that, 3 hot issues will be on the agenda. The first is what's happening in and around Van Cortlandt Village, Van Cortlandt Park, the Van Cortlandt Jewish Center, and the surrounding area. What's coming down, what's going up. the neighbors are very much concerned about that. Chuck and I had a presentation some months ago on what their plans are, but now that they put their plans in writing, it's important that they speak to the community. The second is 3111 Henry Hudson Parkway, where the plan is to take down a one-family home and put in its place, there's
7 townhouses.
7 townhouses. We met with them earlier. We warned them about the fact for property in which there is a state covenant which protects that property. They didn't seem to care, so now we'll see what happens if they put forward plans. And the issue really is for the people who live back there and have the covenant to enforce that. But we'll see what the issue is. And finally, the issue on Scenic Place, which based on a letter that came to me to the wrong email address, which I happened to read this morning, but it came a couple of days ago. There is some work going on which appears to violate SNAD rules, and neighbors not agreeing on what's going on. We had a presentation last month, and now we're being told that we didn't get the full picture. So now hopefully we'll get the full picture on Monday night. That's land use.
Thank you, Marty.
Eric, can you contact Sarah Jesselson and make sure that she knows about this? Because she lives behind there.
Yep, she
And
has the restrictive.
And she's
Covenant,
their,
right.
and she's their enforcer.
Right, right. Okay, and the other property at the corner actually is the residence of Lehman College president. So there's really nobody there. He doesn't live there.
The same problem was with that home, that school they wanted to build.
Mm-hmm. That's on the other side. Yep, yep,
Well,
yep.
it's the same piece of property.
Yep, yep.
Is that, what happened with that? I thought that's what you were talking about at first.
No, the one just south of the Whitehall, we told them there's a covenant. They ignored us, and so far I haven't heard anything following up. But they didn't think very important what we said. We don't know about covenants, we don't worry about that, so.
We'll see. The covenant covers several properties to the west.
Wow.
Thanks, Marty.
Rules and ethics, you have my slide ready? But hold on, I want to do that second. First one I want to do is, as you know, I complained to 3 people at the last community board meeting about the issue of reducing the number required for a quorum under certain conditions. In fact, those conditions we're not going to have a problem with. It's a principle that bothers me. The gentleman, the assemblyman from New York State, who said, well, he doesn't care what New York City does. They're more important than New York City. But those issues still stand out. What I didn't realize, though I knew about, was that it passed almost unanimously in the Senate. And then I didn't know how they counted, but with June was the end of the session. And in Albany, when something is not passed at the end of the session, it disappears. It doesn't exist. So it has to be brought up again this month, next month. But it's in committees. It hasn't gone anywhere at the moment. I got a phone call from Jeff Dinowitz's office, not to worry. He's against it. He's on our side on this. Spoke with Eric Dinowitz on this. And Eric doesn't think it's too important because it doesn't impact us really. I think it does. But the key to whether this happens or, well, 2 keys, whether this happens or not, is you have to have EC to exist. And the question is, if you have EC, then the people who are present in the room only has to be a quarter of the membership as opposed to half of the membership. And since we're not in that situation, it's not going to impact us at all. But I just don't like the idea that, I don't like the idea that they're reinforcing that we're only advisory. We know that. Every time we send something to the city, we know we're only advisory. So to make it part of the law, they are advisory. I found that insulting. So that's the issue number 1. Issue number 2 was the question of ADA. And I thanked Sergio privately, I'll now publicly thank him. The resolution that I brought before the community board last month was to give us an extra month, give us just into October, and we will bring to the October board meeting a new resolution, whatever that may be. Fact is, I've forgotten about Columbus Day or Indigenous American Day, so we're not gonna meet till way after the community board meeting. So I can't give you now what that resolution might look like, and I can't bring to the board what that resolution might look like. But I asked the VP's office, I asked the law department of New York City to give me some guidance. I'm still waiting, even though I called and said, oh, you get it right away. Still waiting for the BP's office. The day's turnaround, I got a letter back from the city law department. We've already corrected the fact that I'm not Ms. Wolpuff. But we'll deal with that. I've already dealt with that. It's important here. Now, to me, this is a little bit too vague, and I don't know that I want to change it or add to it or whatever, but I'm only a person. I'm not a committee. When the committee meets, we'll talk about how we want to implement this. I know that just saying to the chair, you decide, is something that Julie is not looking forward to. So there must be something that gives some parameters, advice, definition, whatever. The committee has to come up with something. Just know that as far as the mayor's office is concerned, the law department is concerned, that granted temporary disability, they don't seem to put parameters on it at all. Now, this doesn't mean I don't feel good today, I don't want to come in, and it becomes EC. We're not going to do that. However, personally speaking, I have an appointment with the doctor next week to decide whether or not I'm having a knee replacement. I know I'll be out for X number of days. Will I ask for and be given the fact that I can sit at home in pain and participate in the meeting? You're looking forward to the answer, as am I, when the committee meets at the end of the month. That's it.
It's vague, but I think it's also clear that you could grant temporary disability for a condition which prevents you from attending meetings.
In person
For a time. I mean, I think this is a very, workable answer.
It's looser than I was thinking, but the fact is, if I had a bad day, I'm calling up, I'm saying home.
But that's not a condition. That's not a condition.
Well, I'm hypochondriac.
I got a condition.
Sergio?
The question is who decides that?
Right. If
The chair.
I'm sure the chair would like some parameters.
Yeah.
We may decide not to give her parameters, and she's on her own, or we may decide to give some kind of definition. I don't know.
After
I'm doing the
Sergio, then
committee.
me. Go ahead, Sergio.
Sergio.
And then me.
Yeah, I'm really of the opinion that this does, as Laura said, cover, it explains it. And we really, I'm strongly of the opinion that we should not be micromanaging anything, but certainly the chair's got her prerogative, committee chairs have their prerogative, and they should be allowed some independence. And if Julie would like to say, while I'm chair, these are the guidelines I'm gonna follow for myself, that's fine, but we shouldn't be binding 3, 4, 5 chairs from now, because that's what we do every time we pass a rule. And we have to trust the people we elect. That's why they're chairs. That's why we elect our committee chairs. We have to trust that they're going to do the right thing. So yeah, I agree with Laura. That seems to be quite workable, quite flexible, and it covers the real world.
I give them a gold star.
Yes.
But Julie has asked for parameters.
Almost with you, Sergio. I'll just say this, and then at your meeting, we'll discuss it. I pretty much agree with Sergio, but equitable attendance throughout the board's tenure, I think it would be good if we all had the same structure, if that would be the word. So I would just ask that you refine it so that it's not a catch-all, because if it's a catch-all, I would give everybody. But we'll discuss it at your meeting. Exactly, which is crazy. Okay, any other questions?
Missing a meeting is not a big deal.
Okay, so that's,
Definitions for
yeah.
temporary disability?
Like his knee surgery would
Yeah.
be, yeah.
Broken bones,
I think that's
pregnancy.
a perfect, that alone would be good.
Those are temporary.
Yeah.
Or you could also just
Yeah.
virtually, like you can sleep, it's okay.
Really?
That's true. Or you can
Dial in and-
Like once, the vote, fine.
Come to the meeting soon.
Okay, so Parks and Recreation. Anyone have any for this?
Yeah, I can say something, Julie. Committee met last week, and the major item was we met with the new director of the Van Cortlandt House Museum, who has come over from the Bartow Pell Mansion over on the east side of the Bronx. And she struck me as very dynamic. She's already come up with some new programs for the fall, and in her previous capacity at Bartow Pell, she increased the activity level and the number of visitors considerably. So that was very encouraging and very promising. The issue of the colonial dames, I think, has been put to rest for a period of time, if not for an extended period of time. We'll find out. But they're going to continue in their present capacity. And the only other thing I would mention, and this is just because it's the only other thing I remember, is that for anybody who hasn't been in the park, the fence around the mansion is now being repaired. I mean, this is something that goes back a couple of years when it was funded. It's rusted, it's deteriorating, and the work has begun, but the mansion is open all during the repair work to the outer fence. So that's what I recall from last week's meeting.
Thank you.
A testament to our budget, I might add, because that was a budget item years ago.
For several years,
For
yeah.
several years, and now it is happening.
Yeah.
Just
Just be persistent, right. Yeah, David?
Yeah, I haven't been over there in a couple of weeks. I'm just curious, what is the physical state of the fencing? Just because the Manhattan College Invitational is in 2 weeks, and there'll be thousands of strangers there.
Yeah. No, there's a fence outside, there's a fence outside the fence. In other words, to keep people away from the old wrought iron fence, so that it can be repaired without anybody being at risk.
Okay, great.
That's all.
Thank you.
The Manhattan University
Yeah.
Invitational.
So far, it's still called the MC exit.
We'll see about that. Yeah, that's a big event, and the planning's already underway for that.
Yeah.
So did you have your hand up?
I did not.
Okay, Public Safety, Ed?
Public Safety Committee has 7 resolutions. We have a renewal for Savoy Coffee and More at 3725 Riverdale Avenue. Approved unanimously, no issues. We have a renewal for Caribbean Bites Bar and Restaurant at 5586 Broadway. No issues, approved unanimously. Our 3rd renewal, I'm actually going to circle back to this because it's kind of involved. We had a new application and temporary retail permit for Mexican Patio at 5602 Broadway. They signed a 2 a.m. closing agreement, approved unanimously by the committee. We had another new application for Tokyo House at 5648 Riverdale Avenue. They signed a 2 a.m. Closing agreement. A lot of people probably know that business has been around for years. The reason it's a new application is because it's a new owner, and they're just basically taking over the business. So that one was approved unanimously. We had a new application, temporary retail permit for Sweet Billiards Corp., which is at 3004 Heath Avenue. They also signed a 2 a.m. closing agreement, and our committee approved that unanimously. We had corporate change for Bocagua, which is at 3541 Riverdale Avenue. Actually, that application was filled out incorrectly, and corporate change was not indicated, but our Public Safety Committee unanimously approved it contingent upon the board receiving a proper application before our next full board meeting, and the board received the application the following day. So back to renewal, Tijuana Nights. So Tijuana Nights, Well, the committee unanimously disapproved this application, and the reason we disapproved the application is because, we were given information. Well, we've had plenty of issues with this location over the years, but in recent times, we checked back for the last 12 months, we got reports from the, 50th precinct that included 101 311 calls, 29 911 calls, 64 summonses, a complaint of attempted rape, a complaint of assault, and 3 people aided for physical illness, injury, and emotional disturbance. So, we've been having complaints about this establishment for years. We've had people come in and testify in front of our committee that they had their jaws broken by employees and patrons, and it's just been, nonstop for years, with this, for several years anyway, with this business. So, and we've seen no attempt by the establishment to accommodate area residents and address any of these problems that have been constantly going on. So we voted unanimously to disapprove this application. So the follow-up to that is, I had a conversation last week with David Stoller, who's our new contact person with the State Liquor Authority. Artie was on the call with me. And I spoke to him about this particular place and more broadly, problematic businesses in general, and what SLA's policies were in terms of, Marty mentioned earlier that the community board is, kind of insultingly referred to us an advisory entity. So, I wanted to just take their temperature, see what's the deal? We're gonna recommend a disapproval. How do you guys, who
do you guys in that sentence?
SLA. Yeah. So Mr. Stoller was very candid. I really appreciated his honesty. And he's somebody who's going to be accessible for us to work with in the future and talk to in the future. But he pretty much told me that regardless of what we do, as far as renewals are concerned, even for the most problematic businesses, they're basically going to rubber stamp them and approve them. So, but there's actually a silver lining to that. So one of the reasons that is even with all these 311 calls, 911 calls, complaints, we're generally going about this the wrong way. If you want a business to have their liquor license taken away because of all constant disturbances, it's not done your traditional way through calling all of this stuff is helpful, but you basically have to make these complaints to SLA. So, they're gonna receive all this information from us. It would have been better if they received them moving forward as time moved forward, so that what they do is they refer this stuff to an enforcement team that they have, SLA, and the enforcement team goes out and they corroborate whether any of these allegations against the business are legitimate, and then they make their determination from then. I couldn't tell you how long that process is going to take, especially, we're just give them a bunch of stuff at the last minute. It's better off if this stuff comes in. When we get complaints, or when anybody gets complaints, it needs to go to SLA right away.
Does it go to SLA coming from the board, the complaint?
It can come from anywhere.
Or do we refer people to complain directly, or we take their complaints and send it to them?
Any and all of what you just mentioned, I would think would be a good idea.
I would recommend it coming from the board. Build that report. Have people report it to us, we report it to them. Easy pipeline.
Okay, I just wanted to say, as far as that's concerned, sounds great, but we would have to, see, what our committee generally does is when a license comes up for renewal, we contact the 50th precinct, and we find out, well, what's been going on in the last 12 months with this place. So, most of the businesses are fine. We don't have many problems with many of the businesses. But this one, it's got such a long track record. I would say with certain businesses, if we have an idea that there's a lot going on, we may have to periodically matter of fact, frequently kind of check with the 311 base or with the, you know, 50th precinct, or what type of complaints are being levied, so we can immediately report that. Either that or have the 50th precinct do it as it comes in, and I don't know if that's their job, you know what I mean, so. Marion.
Would it be good if, like, people do call 311 with, on other complaints of physical or whatever, and they call in, get that complaint number, the 311 complaint number, and call that complaint number into SLA, where there's a paper trail for them to follow up on.
That would be ideal, you just have to get people to do that.
Hospital reports of the broken jaws going to them, that's crazy.
But if anything, shouldn't 311 and 911 calls go to SLA anyway?
They would go to 911.
Well, I'm saying that,
SLA.
well, but I'm saying like after that, like 64 summonses, like record, nothing. SLA is like, well, we didn't hear anything because nobody told us.
The only problem with that, so we're gonna give them these, you know, we're gonna give them all this information, but then if you're giving it to an enforcement unit, they're gonna have to follow up and corroborate on things that have happened months and months and months ago. So I would think it would make it harder for them to corroborate some of this evidence, but.
Yeah, Sergio, David, and Sarah.
You know, I think we need to do both, obviously. Oh, you know, we can't throw out 311, because that's like the main tracking system for the city. But my recent experience with SLA commissioners, that there are some who take the community board very seriously. So it's not automatic that we call or we recommend something. It used to be that way. So some of the newer people are not necessarily like that. But how do we find out the actual, what happened to these complaints? Because it's more than, because we've had, like, you know, one person call in 500 complaints. That's basically one complaint. But, you know, there were summonses. Were there any convictions? Were there arrests made? You know, those sorts of things, I think, are really what drill down, because that's what the first thing, that the business is gonna say, well, you know, these are just accusations. You know, we all know where there's smoke, there's fire, but, you know, I think there should be a system, either the 5-0 or somebody say, you know, yeah, you know, we took a report and this happened.
That's a great question, so I'm just gonna comment briefly on that. I did get a breakdown. It wasn't as detailed as you would or I would both like it, and, because I did notice there was some calls that were considered, I don't even know what word I'm looking for, uncorroborated or unsubstantiated, rather. So there were some, but they were such a small amount of unsubstantiated compared to others that weren't. But yeah, I don't have the information, the complete breakdown on those things, and the business, I guess, can say whatever it wants, so we would have to get a more detailed report on what actually occurred in some of these things. David?
This site has had more serious complaints from the community than everything else in the district combined. Your committee voted for it unanimously. My guess is that the board is going to approve it unanimously. I think that it would be worthy of the chair and council member and assemblyman to write a cover letter, and send that to the SLA, saying that we are very, very concerned. This is not a conventional, you know, after hours, you know, minor noise or whatever complaint. It's a very serious concern of the community, and I think that we should do it. We have done it occasionally, a joint letter with the chair and the council member, and I think the assemblyman, but I think we should do that.
Agreed, it's already in the works. If I didn't have a full-time job, it would be done already, but as far as the councilman, no, we haven't approached them, but that was part of the plan to do that, but yeah.
Okay. Then you may want to recommend that after we vote on the resolution.
Correct, yeah, you're right.
All right, won't belabor it then. Thank you.
Then you
Well,
should
they get the
also see if you could back it up with a report from the police on all the findings of what they've had to answer to there, because that will give them a list of all the offenses and what they've had to deal with. Maybe the police would even say something to the effect that this is a public nuisance to the area, or something would really have an effect on their decisions, if the police were willing to do something like that.
Right. Laura?
Well, it's in the resolution as far as the, all of it, from the last 12 months, 101 311 calls. I mean, the resolution is strong and gives all the facts. And of course, this goes to all the elected officials. And so, but I think, what we've touched on tonight is getting that, pipeline from the 50th precinct to SLA. How is that gonna happen? Involving us, and them directly, community affairs might be helpful here. I mean, it's not like we burden them with so many because we have so few problems. But a lot of this, the heavy lifting is the police activity on that bar. So, that's what I think we need to work on.
Okay, all of this sounds good, just so it doesn't get lost in the sauce. Like I said, I did speak to this guy, David Stoller, and he's gonna be great for us. He said he would walk this information down to the enforcement department himself. I got the guy's cell phone number, he's gonna be a steady contact of ours, but, he was pretty clear that regardless, we could, you know, I mean, and I never underestimate the power of politicians getting on the phone, but I don't think this is gonna be, you know, we're gonna send a bunch of information and they're gonna put a padlock on the door. It's gonna be a process, and the enforcement unit's gonna have to do what they do and investigate it, and I have no idea how long that process takes, so that's where we are with that. We could slam this thing as hard as we want, and they're still gonna stay open, more than likely, you know, so.
Well, this board does have a history, years back of having an establishment that was looking to open, not open. The police testified, Councilman Copel was there at the time in the Public Safety Committee, and the community, they all went down to the SLA. So this could happen.
Was it a new application though? You
this
said it's different with
It
renewals.
wasn't renewal,
Yeah.
but it still could happen. If you get all those parties together to go to SLA, it could happen.
Okay. Last thing okay.
Quickly, is this renewal for 1 to 5 years?
2 years.
2 years, thank you.
David beat me to that point.
Okay.
Could the resolution, and I have no wording, indicate a 1-year extension while SLA has a chance to investigate?
I mean, it could, but ultimately SLA is the one who's gonna pull the plug on them, you know?
I don't know what Sergio knows, but...
Sergio, do you know, you have any opinion on that?
I've never seen SLA be responsive.
There was a bar
Well, I know one.
on
But
Broadway.
there was one
On
down on
Marshall Loop.
231st on Broadway, a new establishment wanted to go in, and Marble Hill, whoever, they were all against it. And we testified at SLA against it, and we were dead in the water until they asked the question of the applicant. The question was, in order to have a license, you have to have X percentage of your service be foods. How are you going to prepare that much food since there's no kitchen? And they said, we're going to have a microwave. And they said, how can you produce that much food in the microwave? And they said, to their credit, we're going to have a walk-in microwave.
Okay.
And that killed it. They killed it. We didn't.
So,
Scary news.
I'm just gonna end this report by just saying that, the Public Safety Committee has a new member, Carol Blake, who just signed up for our committee, and, I also just wanted to, you know, I'm gonna miss Chris Calhoun, I really am. You know, I got to know Chris in the last couple of years, he was part of the Public Safety Committee, funny guy, just a good-hearted guy, and, you know, grew up in the neighborhood I grew up in, and somehow I just missed him all these years. We never crossed paths, and I got to meet him, and we knew a lot of the same people that I knew growing up with, and, I just feel it's so weird to me that he's not gonna be around, and I miss Chris already, and I just wanted to say that, thanks.
You're here.
Traffic and transportation.
All right, so, Colorado has a topo, Chris Mann has a resolution. The street festival for the homecoming, closing areas in Brookstone. And then, we had a presentation by the DOT on Van Portland South. Off the highway, and then safer, better pedestrian path. Next next meeting, we'll have the DDC to discuss, sidewalks at 254th Street by SAR. Active on that whole committee, 25 homeowners. I'd like to have advanced signs and traffic warnings, Henry Hudson morning, and if there's a lot of traffic, if we could reroute it somehow, and, Route 87 Major D, into the next meeting. Traffic, that's all.
Just dining out on Lake?
Yeah, just have a little.
Oh.
Stop.
Josh, did, the 254th Street, did you say you already discussed that, or that's the next
Will
meeting?
be at the next meeting.
Will be at the next meeting, okay.
Which is not in October.
Okay.
Hopefully, they're still active, but DDC is doing the streets,
Right.
they're doing the sidewalk,
Mm-hmm.
but they're piggybacking on the DDC project.
Yeah. No, because that sidewalk is a hazard. I've walked it many times, and it's terrible. So, I'll be watching for that meeting.
One thing is the design of it, the other is actual.
Well, yeah, well, I mean, it's, there's, I don't want to have the meeting now. There's several different issues involved there, so I'll watch for the November meeting, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Josh. Bob Bendo for the Hudson River Greenway.
No report.
Thank you. Margaret for racial equity. Thank you. Sergio for veteran services.
Okay, so we just sent in our minutes, right now.
Good thing you had something to plug in.
Yes, good thing I was able to plug in even though I plugged the TV. But, so we're set for November 3rd, at noon, so everyone please come in. I also sent a request, for volunteers. We'll see if there's a flyer, October 24th and the 31st, we'll have a cleanup, 1 to 4 at Memorial Grove. You know, it's our annual cleanup, plus, you know, it helps the event to have it clean. There are gonna be 2 new benches, we got the Commissioner of Veteran Services to use part of his budget for. One probably for Vietnam, one probably for the Iraq-Afghanistan era war on terror. So, there's gonna be an unveiling of at least one of them there. The invitations are gonna be going out to the elected. As we know, this is a big, you know, we usually have a really good turnout. We hope everybody can make it this year. We did, work on the award criteria in our minutes. The only problem that we have is that we may not have time before the event and the board meeting in November to actually select the person. So unless the board grants authority for the committee to select the person, it may not happen, but that's probably what we're gonna ask for at the next board meeting. You'll all have the criteria before you. It may actually be Commissioner Hendon, our first awardee. Just because he's easy, his bio's up. You know, I sent the link to the office already so we can spread it out. Everybody has it in advance, you know, it should be not controversial sort of awardee for the first one. That's it.
November 3rd is the event at the Grove.
Correct.
October 31st is a cleanup. What was October 24th?
Another cleanup.
Oh, okay.
Do you want us to make a flyer to ask for volunteers for
I just copied you on something to Stephanie, to see if she's got a flyer already. While we were sitting here, I copied you on that. So.
And it's for the community to clean
It's
up,
for the community.
not just the board.
Right, it's a community event, so we'll push it out, and, you know, of course, I'll be there, and we'll do it. But we'll be pushing that out for everybody.
So as far as awards, you guys, the only person that the committee came up with was a commissioner?
The only person so far, and, you know, we're cognizant of the fact that this board, you know, it does not rubber stamp what a committee does. So being cognizant of that and the fact that we're not gonna have time for the whole board to decide it. Yes, I mean, yes, that's what the suggestion is at this point. There are, you know, because we haven't had the chance, we just got the criteria done. And, you know, the board wanted it formalized, so we set down formal guidelines and the criteria, which is what we wanted, but that took a little bit, so. Now that's done at least forever. I mean, he's a veteran, he served in the Middle East, he's still a reservist. You know, he certainly has had a good grade, and he lives in Community Board number 8. You know, I wouldn't hold his being commissioner against him, because he served in other capacities. And, you know, some people may think it's weird, but I don't think that we should hold that against him.
I don't think it's weird. I just think, I don't know. I thought it would go to, like, public.
I'm saying that he is the public because he's a veteran who lives, his office is not in our community board, he resides in our community board. That's the point, that he should not be treated worse.
But your committee is meeting again in October, though, to discuss it, right?
No,
I know November. Are you meeting in November?
not before the event, and the event is when we give the award.
The event is the first. So, as far as the award, will you be giving it out after the event? Like, what are your plans to do with
At the event. It'll be actually at that's why I'm saying there's a time crunch, because the only award we give out is at the Memorial Grove event.
Which will be the first week in November.
Which will be November 3rd.
So that you'd have to bring it to the board next week.
Correct. If we all agree, the general consensus, there's 2 ways we can go. We can say we're nominating the commissioner, there's the bio, let's all vote on it, and everybody votes yes. Or, well, there's 3 ways. Or, no, we don't want the commissioner for whatever reason, then the committee will be empowered to act on behalf of the board as we need for this purpose. Or we don't give out an award at all.
You can give it out after the ceremony. I don't know, I would really like discussions from the chairs here, because the executive meeting is supposed to be for discussions, especially something like this. So I would like somebody to say anything, because last year, the veterans wanted to give an award. I thought it was great, but it's just a policy and the way of doing it, and now they're almost there, so I would really appreciate if people would just comment, you know. Bob?
I mean, Sergio, it sounds as though you can discuss it at the meeting next week. You know who you want, right? The committee members I presume are all agreed on this. You know, you don't have to have a formal resolution. I think just have a conversation, say I can't think of any reason why anybody's going to object, but, you know, why not bring it up at the meeting next week?
No, and that's absolutely the intention. Mm-hmm. That's absolutely the intention. I'm going in descending order of, you know, taking things to the logical conclusion, right? Mm-hmm. We bring it up, everybody says, yeah, that's great. I've never seen, but everybody says, yeah, that's great. And we'll go from there, and that's it. He's going to be the awardee.
Right.
Period, end story. Or, all right, no to him, and then what? And then either we don't have it in November, or we let the committee select somebody, or...
I can't imagine if anybody's going to object, Sergio.
I can't imagine either, but I've been surprised before about things.
I would. To be honest, I would.
There you go. I think that will be controversial.
Okay.
Was there like a search in any of the veterans that's in Community Board 8 that could be worthy of the award?
Not with this kind of vote. No, it's a special committee. We meet 4 times a year. So, you know, we know veterans, we have people who, you know, to honor. He's one of them, and, you know. Is there a veteran in foreign war? Yes, there's the American Legion. Mm-hmm. No, there's not anymore, I think. The VFW on
Oxford.
Closed. The one on,
Coulier, it's still open?
Yeah. Coulier is American Legion.
Oh, okay.
Well, and Orloff closed?
Orloff.
They've closed.
Wow.
That was the VFW, a couple of years ago, before, like, pre-COVID.
Really? It's still there with the eagle out front?
The eagle never left.
The eagle's still there.
The eagle's still there, but if you look at it, there's no sign. Right, Ed?
I'm not even sure if they're closed. Take a look.
I pass it every day.
Sergio, have you considered, just doing a small resolution, since your committee decided this, and has, you know, put that name forward, and then it really passed your committee already, just to do it in a form of a resolution. Had that been discussed?
Yeah, absolutely.
So to bring something to the full board next week?
Yeah, and that's why I wanted to get the criteria out, because that would be in the resolution, and then sort of thing about the selectee. It would, now, you know, this is an ongoing conversation it'll have to be from the floor, because we voted on the criteria. We didn't vote on the member. That's something that came in the discussions afterward.
Okay.
It could be a resolution
But then
from the floor, yeah.
Then it's just done, you know?
Yeah, no, I concur. I'll draft a resolution.
Personally, find it painful for anybody to vote against this resolution once the name is put out. That was what happened last year, which I found extremely painful. So, I think a resolution, and I hope nobody says no, but if you've established criteria, I mean, the key question here is, for now, in the future, are people going to be able to make nominations, or is your committee going to select on its own?
Both. I mean, both are options.
And that's in the criteria that you put together?
You can self-nominate. You can community nominations, or the committee could, of its own volition. That is actually we'll put that into the resolution.
But I mean,
this is the criteria that was voted on.
Right. But
Subsequent to that, we're nominating this person.
right now you have a time crunch, and so there's only such that's feasible.
Right, I don't think it's... like I said, I stopped thinking much objection. We'll do a resolution, that's a great idea.
So I think what Sergio has proposed in his procedures needs to be looked at and evaluated with the future in mind. But I would sit here and say, I hope nobody votes against it. Especially these are better than carries a gun.
That's why we...
Thank you, Sergio. And thanks for attending to the street naming we went to. Any unfinished business?
He was talking about the, I'm sorry, Meg.
Go ahead.
I attend on behalf of the board,
Adams.
the...
The Adams,
Yeah.
renaming.
Very, very, really, really well ended.
Yes.
I'm glad that we would have been whole if we would not.
And we put it on Facebook, so you guys gotta go on, look, like, share. Spread the word. Okay, unfinished business, I would just like to say, welcome back, Farah, and Artie did a wonderful job. He worked.
Yeah, he's exhausted tonight, I know.
Truly appreciated his work. And unfinished business, I would just ask that at the board meetings, that people raise their hands rather than just shout out, and we'll do a better job when we do roll call also. That was another shout out. Just raise your hand and just be called upon, that's all. If anybody has any comments for the meetings, please, let me know. You can say it now or let us know. I think we've improved with the elected officials. They get their 1 minute, 3 minutes. And thank you, Sergio, for helping me at the meetings with Robert's Rules, which I will never master.
I will not be at the next meeting.
I'm gonna be in trouble.
But the resolution will be there.
Yeah, good say.
The resolution will be there, and
Okay.
one of our members will present it. In Hawaii,
Probably. You had to tell us that, didn't you?
It's a terrible place to be this time of the year.
Yes, I'm sorry. It was a close call.
I don't blame you. Anybody else have anything? Okay, so then our next meeting will be November 6th, on a Wednesday. And make a
Make a motion to adjourn?
second. Thank you.